We are back in from the break here on In My Own Words, the podcast, hottest show on the streets. But we jump into the phone line where we pick up my good friend Brent Beaird. Brent Beaird, who is a college football analyst for First Coast News out of Jacksonville, Florida, part of the ABC and NBC stations. He is also a Heisman voter. Brent, how's it feeling down there in the Sunshine State? Hope you're doing good.
Well, Stephen, thank you. It's great to be on with you. We are waiting for word on this season, and I do think we're going to play. It may be modified compared to what we think it might be, but there's still certainly a lot of hope that Brandt Stadium will be filled on those weekends for the home games, but we're waiting as everyone else is. Here in Jacksonville, today was the first day of loosening some of the restrictions. The people can be at the beach longer. They can be at restaurants with 25% capacity. So we do see some improvement, Stephen, as we go along over these last few days.
And that's big, Brandt, because I know you and I had spoke once before, off air about the possibility of the season being on time. Could we have a delayed season? Could we have an abbreviated season? So, my thoughts is I know a lot of the ADs are trying to get the students back on campus by early to mid-July, but do you see this being successful in the season starting on time, or could the season be slightly delayed or abbreviated?
Well, the three scenarios that we've seen so far would be the season starting on time, or the season not starting until, say, October, in mainly conference games being played, or the season not being played until next spring. I really can't see the latter happening, Stephen, just simply because how would you play in the spring of next year and then play in the fall a few months later? So I think what's going to happen at this point is we're either going to start on time, or we'll have something abbreviated. The NCAA has come out with some requirements for resuming classes, and I think a couple of these are huge. One would be to have adequate testing, and then two would be if someone tests for COVID-19 to have a plan to isolate them and be able to treat them after that has been discovered. So, but Stephen, the good thing about this is we've still got time. It's still quite a ways until the season begins, although the things we've got to keep in mind are, will the schools be able to have what we may say a mini camp, for lack of a better word, or will they be able to start fall practice as they normally would and have their 20-something practices at that point? That's going on too. But I think something will be decided, or at least we'll have a lot more information by the end of this month, in the first week of June. Now, one thing you are seeing is a trend, actually two things. More presidents coming out and saying that they have all intentions of starting school at the regular time at the end of August, or at the beginning of August. You're seeing that. And the other thing, Stephen, this is certainly of interest for you and me, is we found out today that Conference USA, for their media days, it's going to be virtual. Now, I think Greg Sankey wants to have media present and accounted for in their seats for the SEC media days in the middle of July in Atlanta. But Stephen, right now, that's something really I think is important to watch for. None of the Power Five at this point have showed their hand what they want to do for media days, but a lot of these things are worth looking at as we put the pieces of the puzzle together on how soon and if we play.
We got Brent Beaird on the phone, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just tuning into In My Own Words, the podcast, Beaird, a college football analyst for First Coast News out of Jacksonville, Florida, part of its ABC and NBC stations. Well, Brent, ESPN put out its FPI, its Football Power Index, on Sunday, and according to that, Alabama's projected to win 10.9 or 11 games. Just on the surface here, where do you see the loss for Alabama, if there is one, in the coming season?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, at this point, unless it's an early loss to, say, Georgia, and frankly, I think right now, with Newman coming in at quarterback, transferring from Wake Forest, a new offensive coordinator, losing as many offensive linemen as they did, I think Bama would, frankly, I think right now have the better roster in that game. And frankly, I don't see a situation here unless they have multiple starters hurt again in November to where you would be at a disadvantage, say either against A&M or Auburn. I could see, unless you just have a very unusual situation, that Bama's going to have the better roster, and I think be favored, frankly, in every one of these games. And does that mean they're going to go undefeated? Maybe not. That's a rare occurrence even for Bama at this point. I know Tennessee's improved, but they still don't have the same roster Alabama does. Bama goes to LSU, but, Stephen, I don't think there's any way you can lose the players and the coaching staff and LSU repeat what they did last year. And then this is a make it or break it in some ways this year for A&M, particularly for Kellen Mond as he comes to Tuscaloosa. And I still don't, and I just don't think the Auburn line of scrimmage is going to be as tough as it was last year, particularly on that defensive line, and losing Derek Brown and the guys that they did. So, look, I'm with you. At this point, I mean, you could make the argument that the schedule is stretched out enough to where it certainly benefits Alabama throughout the season.
Now, also, along with that here, we got Brent Beaird on the line. Brent, you covered quite a few Alabama players on this roster that are from the Florida area. One of those guys just so happened to be, Mac Jones, who played at the Bowles School and helped that team to a couple of state championships in the Sunshine State. When you covered him throughout his high school tenure, what were some of the things that really stood out to you, about Jones? And when you watched him play, and as you're watching him play now, what confidence does he give you that he can take Alabama and win the national championship as a starter?
I think what Mac has done coming from Bowles is he's coming from a championship pedigree program that he was under Corky Rogers, the late Corky Rogers, unfortunately, who just passed away a few weeks ago. Arguably the greatest coach in Florida football history in high school, and that's saying a mouthful. But he certainly comes from a program that is used to winning. I think when he was there, he started pretty much as a game manager, and he really was able to improve as his career went along. I think Mac can lower his shoulder and get some crucial yards if he needs to be able to do that. I think he's got a much better arm than people give him credit for. Unfortunately, people look at the picks at Auburn, and again, that I think is more the exception than the rule as far as Mac is concerned. Completed almost 70% of his passes, and again. And we've mentioned this a few times down here on First Coast News, that we did a study on some of the possibilities as far as of guys coming out, not this year, and going to the combine, but next year. And one of the names mentioned was if Mac Jones decides to do that. And I talked to a couple of NFL beat writers who cover the draft and also are very familiar with Jones in Alabama, and what they told me was that Mac has a lot of the intangibles, and they both said beyond a shadow of a doubt that if he decided to come out, that Mac would be invited to the combine. They didn't hesitate, didn't stutter. They said if he wants to come out, he would get a chance because he has got the intangibles and the tangibles that you need to be a good quarterback in the next levels. I mean, he'll be a superstar, no, but these guys who cover the NFL have seen enough of him at this point, and I would go on both of them. I trust both of them a lot as far as what they would say. Now, again, he's got ample eligibility left if he decides to stay. But I think the main thing Mac has done, Stephen, is he has gained this trust of the coaching staff. You and I both know that's not easy to do, is it, with Coach Saban? But once he trusts you, he will give you some leeway as it goes along. And so I think Mac has got everything that he needs at this point. Does he still need to improve? Absolutely he does. But I would argue right now that Mac is up with the top three in the quarterbacks in this league. When and this is not an exhaustive list, but two of your better quarterbacks coming back in this league, or certainly Kellen Mond that we mentioned a minute ago from A&M, and Kyle Trask of Florida. And look, I think that Mac could hold his own against both those guys, Stephen.
He's Brent Beaird, ladies and gentlemen, from First Coast News, college football analyst, part of the ABC and NBC stations, joining us here live on In My Own Words, the podcast. Brent, we appreciate you taking some time to spend with us, man. Keep enjoying that sunshine, man. Be safe, be good.
We're looking forward to playing some ball this fall. That TV money is going to cause that to happen, I believe. And also, my brother, hopefully we'll see each other in July in Atlanta. How about that?
Hey, awesome, man. Be good. Appreciate it.
You too.
That was Brent Beaird of First Coast News, college football analyst, helping us out there, talking some SEC, some Alabama football, and the potential of a on-time or an abbreviated season. But we're going to take another break here on the show. When we come back, we dive into more of your phone calls, thoughts, tweets, texts, messages, and concerns after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in the Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.